this is a prime example of the saying that people usually say that you never know who a person is until you spend some time with them. Or another saying is wolves in sheep clothing. Or you got to get to know a person real well, study his habits, study his pattern, make sure he's genuine before you get with that person. Well, this is a prime example of, and it's also a prime example of just because a couple look very happy and, and walking off to the sunlight in the sunset as happy couples, with daisies and roses, don't mean they are living that life. Looks can be deceiving. Of course, to the public, they might just start showing off. But behind closed door, it could be pure hell. Well, this story right here, I ain't going to tell you the story. I'm just going to play the video of this. And shout out to Inside Edition. I'm going to play this little clip and give the rest of my commentary.
My baby's on our honeymoon.
It's the image of newlywed bliss.
Hi, we're having such a good time.
He's the San Bernardino school shooter, Cedric Anderson, and his wife, school teacher Karen Smith, lovingly enjoying their honeymoon in Sedona, Arizona.
We're having a ball. It's been nice.
Karen was a beautiful bride when she said "I do" to the 53-year-old former pastor and military vet.
Happy wives, happy husbands.
Here's Jim Murray.
After they got married on January 28th, Cedric Anderson moved into his wife's home in a gated community. But very quickly, the marriage had problems. Just a few weeks ago, Karen Smith decided she had no choice but to seek a divorce.
Now, investigators want to know how Anderson, in a matter of 2.5 months, went from gushing groom to the madman who strode into his wife's classroom at North Park Elementary School in San Bernardino, killing her, her student, and wounding a second child.
Possible active shooter at North Park Elementary.
This is exclusive video of Karen Smith singing in her church choir, given to us by her grieving cousin, Jessica Alexander.
Karen was a beautiful person. When she told us she was getting married, I said, "You look so happy."
Did you have any sense of the relationship taking a turn?
I really didn't. Karen was a very quiet, very private person.
The scene at the school was total chaos as children were reunited with relieved parents.
We heard our PE coach, with the little kids, and he was like, "Go!" I didn't want to die.
Cell phone video captures paramedics furiously working to save the life of 8-year-old Jonathan Martinez. Jonathan died from his injuries. A sweet boy gone much too soon for no reason whatsoever.
All right. In that clip, it's a shame that, the kids are being put into harm's way because a man can't really deal with his emotions and accept the fact that his own wife his estranged wife is filing for divorce for his crazy self because he can't keep his emotion in check. And it's unfair for the kids to be put in that situation where they come into the crosshairs of this crazy man trying to shoot his wife. He shouldn't. My thing is, though, and even I think that's what her sister, she mentioned that she's very secretive. Like, she don't really tell them much of anything. Like, she kind of secretive. When it comes to a situation like that, she should start talking. She should have just started talking because that might have would have saved her life. And some of the, I think one or either two of the student, they got caught in the crosshair and died. And that was kind of sad when I hear that voice say he don't want to die. It's very sad. But back to what I was saying during the intro, you actually never really know a person until you spend enough time with them. You live in the same house with them. Because I heard a lot of people say, don't shack before you're married. But sometimes sometimes, if you really know a person, you kind of stay with them. I'm not by any chance, I'm promoting, people should shack before marriage, because me, myself, I'm a Christian, and I believe that, You know, in order for you to live in the same house with a woman, you got to be married with her at first. I believe in that. But he supposed to be a former pastor. And if I was her, I would ask, okay, why are you a former pastor? You should be a pastor because that's your calling. How are you a former pastor? I'll be questioning all kind of backgrounds because I just kind of looked at him. He does look kind of like he got like he look unhinged. I could just look at him and tell. Even the picture he took, I think during his military years, he kind of had like a mean mug a little bit. It was like an old picture he had. And she was a beautiful woman. I actually see, look at that clip of her. She was a beautiful woman, very nice, and she could have sing. And from the looks of that video, she looked like she was happily, she happy that she got married. And this woman had kids. And the sad part about it is that her kids won't be able to see her own mom because of what this man done to her. He could have I guess look back to his mistake he made and reassess himself, find out what he did. The least he could do is apologize and say you'll change. And if that doesn't work, well, you blew it. You got nobody to blame but for yourself. You got yourself to blame for that. But you don't want to take accountability for it. So you came in there and with a gun. And what she should have done is when she know that she's moving out and get a divorce, she should call the police and make sure, or either it's a person who guard the school, and make sure that they keep guard on her. Because you got a lot of men that are very crazy now. And which goes to show me, just goes to show you, coming from my experience, I see why a lot of women are more cautious. Even when I start approaching women and start talking with them, I see a lot of them get extra cautious, like they have their walls up. Especially when you approach them, it's a certain way you approach them and everything, and talk with them. Of course, I see why they have their guards up. I see why a lot of women give guys wrong numbers, or they even if they seem like they might like the dude, they might still want to talk with him, and even if they find out they're not interested in him, they'll block him. Because you got a lot of guys out there that crazy, and they're making the rest of us as men look bad, because it just goes to show that a lot of men, they just can't control themselves, because I guess their pride and ego and the fact that their own wife leave them, they probably wouldn't be able to take that. And I understand why a lot of women are very defensive of themselves, and when it comes to choosing a mate, they gotta be extra cautious, because that's to women that is very dangerous. So you got some guys that don't know how to deal with rejection. You got some guys who you fall in love with. You got to make sure that he won't change who he is and turn out to be a woman beater. He might turn out to be a cheater. I say cheating is kind of like the least of the problem. If you find out you cheat, you can just leave or whatever. But you got somebody who threatened to take you off you because you choose to leave them. Like, I see why a lot of women are going through with that. Now, I'm going to say this, though. I'm going to say it like this, though. You never know the type of person who you want to get with. You never know the type of person that you are getting yourself involved with, rather. And you can't just jump into marriage. Because I know you got a lot of women say that after 6 months, if you don't propose to me, I don't want them. Which I can understand. You date somebody for 6 months, then you choose to marry them. Yeah, I understand. You take some time, but I say within maybe a little longer. It depends on how long you stay with them. You can your spirit kind of grew with that person. Then yeah, I can understand that. And they didn't even last a month. And she said, okay, you know what? I'm about to leave this cell. The honeymoon phase didn't even fizzle out yet before she went to file for divorce. It's been like a month or two. The honeymoon phase was still going on. And usually, honeymoon phase fizzle out within the first 8 months, maybe, possibly a year. And after the honeymoon phase kind of fade out. That's when the test really began. The 7-year itch. Of course, I've never been married. I don't really know much about marriage, but I was just going by, patterns of what some of the things people say and look at certain patterns. Because I heard the term the 7-year itch, and like they say, once that 7-year itch, once you cross that 7-year itch line, then it should be manageable because you kind of know that person a little bit too well and know what they like and don't like. There's certain things that they don't like what you do, and you can say, okay, I know that person wouldn't like this, so I ain't gonna do that because I respect my husband, I respect my wife, But sometimes, I know a lot of divorces that happen. People who've been married for 20 years, 20, maybe possibly 30 years, because of adultery, because that person might have put up with this stuff for about 20 plus years. And they say, okay, you know what? I'm fed up. I'm leaving. After 20 years. And you got a lot of guys saying, man, she'll come back. She ain't leaving. Because I married her for 20 years. Men, listen. When a woman tell you to get your act together or whatever it is you're doing that she don't like, stop doing it. And she told you to do something to that's her way of telling you that she willing to help work with you to save the marriage. And she tell you to do something, listen to your woman. Listen to her. Listen to every detail. Take your time out to try to figure out what it is that she wants. Communicate with her because that's key. Communication is key. And when she leave you, you can beg, you can cry, you can say, oh, don't leave me. You can do anything you can do. You can cry a river. You can cry like a baby. Beg, and most of the time, you might get her back, but that's kind of rare. But when she said, I'm fed up with you, that's it. If that's it, that's it. Let that be a lesson. But sometimes 20 plus years, I don't think nobody want to start over with a relationship after 20 plus years. Some people will. You can get another wife. And the next woman you seek and want to marry, just learn from that mistake. Learn not to be a control freak. Learn, for his case, learn not to be, I guess, abusive. I don't know what he done with her, but just learn not to be, I guess, controlling, be try to demanding or trying to be jealous or whatever his issue is. I don't know what the issue is, but he should learn his mistakes. Not put yourself out there in harm's way to go to a school where these babies are at and open fire on the teacher and let these little babies get in the mix of the crosshair. I don't really speak ill on the dead, but, I don't really speak ill on the dead, but, it's kind of, it's a relief that he off himself because this guy rocking and lumbering around, he's a danger. And besides, even if he did survive, his butt need to stay in prison for the longest if you were to be alive. But he off himself, so he do the community a favor. And the kids got justice, and the family of the mom got justice. But let this be known, not every happy couple that appeared on the outside may be not too happy in closed doors. Because there could be a lot of skeletons in their closet. So don't be fooled by that. And women, I'm just saying, just asking for the women in particular. If you see a guy who got like certain traits where he could be controlling, where he seemed controlling, he seemed demanding, he just gives some kind of a vibe where he looked like he could be very harmful because you tell him no, because you have a mind of your own, and you see that he want to control you and manipulate you. Whatever kind of sign you see, just call it, just quit it. Don't go any further, and make sure you are protected. That's why I'm a big advocate of women. Women don't need to know. A lot of men don't need to know where you live at until you can completely trust them. But tell me what you think about this.